Ohayou gozaimasu. Today we're studying Genki L.9 Kanji. And you can follow along textbook page 323 to 324. The first kanji is fairly easy. This is go, and it means noon. This is the onyomi. You can find it in words like gozen, gogo, and gozenchu. So gozen, as you know, means AM, gogo means PM. Gozenchu is in the morning or during the morning. So a couple strategies for this one. This is actually supposed to be, well, it's the zodiac sign of the horse. And it is also similar, don't get it mixed up, with the zodiac sign for cow, which is just slightly different. So see, the line comes above here in cow, but it doesn't go above in horse. So if you want to think of this as, so at noon, the horse takes a 10-minute nap, because there's also a 10 in there, some right here. So the stroke order for this is quite easy. It's ichi, ni, san, shi. So we go from easy to more difficult. This one, the kanji is go. That's the onyomi. It means after. You probably recognize this more as ato, or ushi, ushiro no ushi. So here we have, over to the right, the readings or the combinations are gogo, which means PM. Then you have such and such no ato, for example, kuras no ato, ato de, ushiro, where do is written in hiragana, and saigo, which means last. Now the strategy for this one, I have two of them here. This one is more of a pictograph, two guys walking during the night after a long day of work. Also, I'd like to break this up into different radicals. So the radical version of the strategy is here. The left-hand side is go, the radical for go. And then you have on the right-hand side, the top part is silk thread. So that's supposed to represent some sort of a cocoon. And then you have on the bottom, walking legs. So think of a worm that goes into a cocoon, and what comes after is a moth with legs. The stroke order for this kanji is fairly simple. It's ichi, ni, san, shi, go, roku, shichi, hachi, kyu. If we're going to learn ato, we are also going to learn mae. So two different readings again. This is the onyomi, zen. The kunyomi, the Japanese reading, is mae. And of course, you find it in things like mai, meaning before or in front of. So biru no mai, in front of the building. Also then you see in gozen, which means literally before noon or AM. And then you also have namae. A couple different strategies for this one would be the samurai cleans his sword before the battle under the moonlight. That one's great if you want to pictograph, but if you want a little bit more of the radical version, you have moon underneath the sky. You have the reeds off to the right-hand side. And I guess for Heisig, if anybody knows that book, he calls that top version bull's horns. So before the bull comes, hide behind the reeds in the moonlight. It's a little bit long. But anyway, stroke order for this one is ichi, ni, san, shi, go, don't forget your hook, roku, shichi, hachi, kyu. Here is the first part of namae. The reading in the Japanese, the kunyomi is na, and me is the reading for the onyomi. So you find it in combinations like namae, yume, which means famous, and then also things like meishi, which is a name card. This is made up of two different types of, well, there's ta, right? There's ta, and there's ro. ro. So Taro's name is on a meishi or a business card. And here's the stroke order. It's ichi, ni, san, shi, go, roku. This is the kanji for white, and it's read shiro or haku. It's probably the easiest kanji we'll learn today. You can think of this as a white milk carton with a straw coming out of it. I like to think of this one in terms of its radicals. So you have the drop of sun, that's the sun radical, and the drop is just that little stroke right there. You find it in combinations, of course, like shiroi, shiro, hakushi, which means white paper, or hakucho, which means white bird, essentially, or dove. And the stroke order is ichi, ni, san, shi, go. So we already know this one because we learned densha no den, but I'll go over it anyway. The onyomi is u, the kunyomi is ame, and it means rain, of course. So we have it in things like, obviously, ame. Then we have uki, which is rainy season. Tsuyu is also another word for rainy season. It is a pictograph of rain, so that's quite easy. One of the things I find people actually make mistakes on is how those inside droplets of rain, what direction they're going into. So it's ichi, ni, san, shi, go, roku, shichi, hachi. So notice that those droplets of rain are actually falling. Think of rain in general, it falls in a specific direction. In this case, it's all going to the right, the bottom right. This kanji, kaku, to write, is probably one of the hardest kanji just because it has so many horizontal strokes. But I'm going to show you a strategy I think that really helps remember this. So sho is the Chinese reading, and ka, as we know from kaku, is the Japanese reading. So you can find it in things like jisho, kyokasho, which means textbook. So if you look at this, jisho is a book of definitions. So sho not only means to write, but it also means book. Toshokan, same thing. So a building where books and maps are located. In any case, the strategy is really a person writing on a piece of paper. So notice then you have this kind of stroke. You have the first stroke, that's your opposable thumb. Then you have one more stroke, it's a finger, another finger. You've got a couple more fingers here. So really you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 horizontal strokes. Then you have a vertical stroke, which represents the pen that you're writing with. And then down here you have the sun. So a hand holding a pen writing by the light of the sun. So once again, that's stroke order is ichi, ni, san, shi, go. I didn't quite come through there. Go, roku, and then roku, nana, hachi, kyu, and ju. The kanji for tomodachi is a really easy one for the most part. You will remember that we learned the kanji for right and left. This was right here, so migi. This is similar, has that same radical on the left-hand side there. So this is read tomodachi in the kunyomi, but in the onyomi it's yu as a long vowel u. So you find it in tomodachi. Shinyu, which means best friend. Yujin, which is another word for friend, but not as common as tomodachi. And then you have yujo, friendship. So I guess the strategy for this is my friend is chasing me, so I ran over a hedge where this part here represents the hedge. And the stroke order is ichi, ni, san, shi. This one looks almost exactly like kiku, with one slight difference. This middle portion here is different. So instead of being mimi, ear, it's sun. It means between, and the onyomi, the Chinese reading, is kan, and the kunyomi, the Japanese reading, is aida. So you find this in combinations like jikan, nijikan, 2 hours, aida, which means between, ningen, which means human being, and ishukan, which basically represents a length of time. In any case, this one is really simple for the strategy. It is the sun showing between the gates. And as we discussed in class the other day, these are the gates right here. And of course, that's the sun right there. And the way you write this, the stroke order is ichi, ni, san, shi, go, roku, shichi, hachi, kyu, ju, juichi, juni. This is probably the most difficult kanji that we'll learn in this chapter because it has so many sort of strokes that don't quite make sense. We've never seen anything really like it. And this, unfortunately, is not the best font to represent that kanji, so don't copy that font. This is the one we're aiming for right here. You can see there's a space in here that doesn't make sense. It means house. It's read ka for the Chinese reading, and ie or uchi for the Japanese reading. And of course, it's read ie. Then you have it in kazoku. Uchi is another reading of this kanji. You have kanai, which means my wife. That's a really old word. I wouldn't use that if you have a wife, because essentially what that means is inside the house person. Author is Sakka. In any case, there are a couple different strategies here. One is this one right here. My mom looked like she had 2 extra hands when she multitasks around the house. That's kind of a cool visual. However, I like to think of this in terms of the radicals. This is literally the kanji for pig and under a roof. So if you think of in the old days when they had livestock in the house, that might make sense. So here I'm going to draw this out for you and give you a little strategy to remember the pig by. So you have the roof. That's ichi-ni. And then here the pig is wearing a hat. And here's the pig's head right here. And then you draw the pig's body with the little tail there. And then you have 1 leg, 2 leg, 3 leg, 4 leg. So see where you have a pictograph of a pig. We already know the kanji for go as in Nihongo, so this one shouldn't be too hard. This is to speak, hanasu, and it is read wa for the Chinese reading, hanasu for the Japanese or the kun yomi. Hanashi is another version of that. So, of course, we find it in hanasu or denwa or hanashi or kaiwa, which means conversation, like getting together, meeting together to talk is where that word comes from. This one, of course, has left-hand radical is to say, and then you have 1,000 on the right-hand side over mouth. So 1,000 mouths saying something is talking. And the stroke order is quite easy. It's ichi, ni, san, chi, go, roku, shichi, hachi, kyu, ju, juichi, juni, jusan. This one is quite easy as well because we already know the kanji for chisai, which is only 1 stroke removed or different from this one. This one is skoshi, little. Sko is written, the kanji is read sko, and then you add shi in hiragana after it, and sku, and then you would add nai at the end of it to mean not enough. So here are the combinations. Skoshi, as I pointed out, has shi. Tsukunai, meaning few or not enough. Shosho, so this is where you might have heard shosho omachi kudasai, which means please wait a little bit. And if you're into manga, you'll know that there is something called shoujo manga and shonen manga. Manga for girls, manga for boys. And one of the strategies is this is like, it's a face. So 2 eyes, and a nose and a mouth, so the little dog has a huge smile. And here's the stroke order. It's ichi, ni, san, shi. This one is a fun kanji because it's a pictograph. It means old, and it is read either ko for the onyomi, the Chinese reading, or furui for the kunyomi, the Japanese reading. So you have, for example, furui chuko, which means second hand, or kodai, which means ancient times. Dai means like era. And it is basically a pictograph of an old style tombstone. So an old tombstone. And it's fairly simple to write. It's ichi, ni, san, shi, go. So make sure that this is a little bit longer than the base. You can see where there's sort of a, a length difference there. It's not, for example, like this. That's slightly different. This is also a fairly easy kanji. It is shiru, to know. And it is read chi for the onyomi and shi for the kunyomi. Of course, we find it in shiru, chijin, which means acquaintance, or shiriai also means acquaintance. Probably shiriai is quite common. It is a pictograph of a person stepping forward who wants to know what's in the box. So this portion in particular right here is interesting because it's not, for example, it doesn't look like this. It's not this. It's more like this. Almost as if you think of it as somebody stepping out like that with the leg out. And the stroke order is ichi, ni, san, shi, go. Slightly shorter there. Roku, shichi, hachi. Finally, we get to learn the kanji for come, kuru, and of course it has ku, ki, and ko. Ku, ki, and ko represent the different conjugations, right? So it's kuru, but it's kimas, and then it's konai in the negative. So also read dai, right? So you have kuru, kimas, konai, daishu, dainichi. That's not, I don't want to say that's used very often, but I've never heard it before anyway. It is a pictograph of a rice plant coming out of the earth. So here you have, for instance, the roots. This is the stem right here. You have a couple of branches perhaps, or leaves, and then you have the rice grains right in here. So it is a pictograph of rice plant coming out of the earth. And the way you write this is ichi, ni, san, shi, go, roku, shichi.